you're here. How's your day going so far?
It's going great. Thank you for inviting me, and hello, everyone. I saw a couple
Hello.
of names that I'm familiar with. Linda was here, and Deborah. We met with Deborah, at North
Yes,
Carolina. Yes, I met
we
Deborah in North
did.
Carolina. How is
Yeah.
everybody doing? Excited to?
We're good. We're trying to decide if we're hot, wet, stormy, and we're just all trying to decide.
Okay,
All the things. Yes, Lourdes. You're in Georgia, right, Lourdes?
that's
Okay.
correct. I'm in
Oh,
Hiram,
yes.
Georgia. Hmm.
Yes. So we were just talking about the weather and how hot it is in most parts of the country, and also the storms that are coming through. How are things looking in Georgia right now?
No, it's really hot. It's very sunny. And yeah, this room where I am at is really hot right now because of the sun is on this side. So yeah, is I need some rain, you know. But I have to be
What
very
part of
careful what
Georgia
I
are
wish
you in?
for.
What part of Georgia are you in?
I am in Hiram. I'm very close to the border with Alabama. So this is
Okay, I thought
northwest.
so. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're delighted that you are here, Professor Webster, to share a little bit about your journey. We have some colleagues that are here with us that are on the journey, and some other colleagues that have already achieved success. So we're going to just ask you a few questions, and then we'll leave time at the end for colleagues that are with us live to share their questions that they may have about your journey. So first, Lourdes, just start out telling us a little bit about your reason for wanting to achieve the CNE. What prompted you really to look into it?
So the reason why I wanted to become a CNE is, um, hearing from other people who have already, accomplished this, hearing what they have learned as they study. And I have access to some of the resources, especially the Caputi's book. I was like, I can do this. And not only I could do it, but I wanted to do it because it is one thing to read the book just because of the pleasure of it. Another thing is to read the book because it's so informative and so rich, right? And not to mention it's preparing you for the exam. So I wanted to be, my bottom line is I've been teaching nursing education, I think since 2003. So it has been a minute, right? But I know this is it never stops, right? And I don't want to stop either. So the CNE for me was my next challenge. What is that I can continue, do and learn and, prove myself that this is not the end. So, but the bottom line is I want to be, a better educator. I want to have resources that I can, utilize to help my students, to help my colleagues, because you see, this is not only being an educator and helping your students, this is being able to be a better faculty, a better peer, a better coworker, a better human being after all. My journey has been so rich. I've learned so much reading all these books, meeting the people I've met, Dr. Sellars and my study group, the people I met in North Carolina when I went to your one of your conferences. I mean, it's fascinating. It's a growing experience. So there is a before and after, you know, the day you started and the day you actually pass your CNE. It's going to be a new you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Professor Webster. We want to say that
Thank
again,
you.
because exactly what you already said, it's important that we have a supportive community on our journey. We're excited and thrilled every single time we get the text message or we get the email, hearing from colleagues like Professor Webster that they were successful. We're even more excited when we see and we hear the light bulb moments, because we have them as nurse educators, just like our students do. So being able to focus on competency, because that's essentially what the CNE exam does. It validates our ability to achieve competency as a nurse educator. So thank you for sharing so much about your wonderful journey, Professor Webster. And then A second question I had is related to your reflection. So if there was just one piece of advice that you would give yourself 6 months ago before you started focusing on your journey, what would that be? What do you think you would do different, or what do you wish you would have done that you didn't?
Exactly what I did different after, because you need to know that I initially attempted to pass this exam in December, and I did not pass. And I shared with doctors, and you see, I'm happy to share that story. I'm not afraid. I'm not embarrassed of saying I failed. Let me tell you why. I only studied by myself. I did not expose myself to any resources out there. It was me and Caputi's book. And I was reading probably for 3 months before taking the exam. And I felt confident, and I was so close to pass. In that exam, I needed 91 questions or 91 points to pass, and I got 86, right? So my advice to that person there is to do exactly what I did. And that advice not only helped me, but that advice came from Dr. Sellars when I met her. And she said, Lourdes, I'm sorry, but you really have to expose yourself to other resources. And that's exactly what I did. I started, attending conferences, meeting people, networking with those faculty who really want to become a CNE. We created a group. We're still meeting daily, Dr. Sellers. You need to know that we're still meeting. I'm still meeting with them. I'm not leaving them behind. So that was the advice, for the Lourdes who didn't pass. Hey, whatever you did wasn't enough. Now you have to do more. And that's exactly what I did. And believe me, I felt very confident the day of my exam, because we've been studying nonstop since May, since the third week in May, nonstop. And we're still studying. It's 3 of us studying daily, meeting daily, sorry. And we have, our study plan. We go competency by competency. We are mastering every single piece of each competency. And then we practice questions. But yes, that is a good advice. Expose yourself. Networking is a good advice as well. And surround yourself with people who also want this in the same, in the same level that you want it, because those are the people that are going to help you.
Yes. And those are the people also that, like you said, from a content perspective, but even from a confidence and encourage perspective, because remember, we say that 80%, and it's Pareto's principle too, but 80% of our ability to achieve success really is that content review, and 20% really is about that mindset. So my motivation is stay focused in only using Billings and Halstead and Caputi. It's almost like having an accountability partner to say, wait a minute, we shouldn't be using that extra resource. That's going to be a distraction. So not only is it creating this peer group of community support with like-minded colleagues, but also it is ensuring that there's accountability and that we're staying focused. So we appreciate you mentioning that. And Professor Webster, the other colleagues she's mentioning, they were part of the CNE in 60 days together. So they started and connected that way, and they continue now months later with an ongoing relationship. And then, yes, a few of them were able to come to our in-person masterclass along with Deborah and some other colleagues to meet in person, because we know how important it is to make that human connection in person whenever possible. So thank you so much, Professor Webster. And then one last question, and I'll open it up for questions from any colleagues that may be here.
Yes.
When you think about your readiness to take the CNE exam, talk to us about how you felt on that day. Many colleagues talk about being very nervous and feeling less confident. Tell us about what your feelings were and how you managed those feelings.
Well, everybody's different. Fortunately, I don't suffer test anxiety. Never since, even when I was younger, For me, it's more, what is that I need to do?
Mhm.
So my preparation, everything I do will take me to a level where I feel confident. You know, I will feel nervous the day I don't know, the day I probably didn't study enough.
Mhm.
But once I've done my part, I just feel this is it. And I would say, don't doubt yourself. You've been studying. You need to make sure that you are advancing in a logical sequence, that it makes
Mhm.
sense, that you are covering the content competency by competency. As I mentioned, you need to have your study plan. You cannot overlook content. It's important that you pay attention to every single aspect of every competency.
Mhm.
Um, don't discriminate like, oh, this is better or this is less important. No, everything is important. So when you do that, you should achieve a level of comfort where you know, I know my stuff. I know. And then you do practice questions. If you have access to the Billings and Halstead 7th edition, there is online questions through Elsevier at the end of each chapter that you can also study. You can use that to, test your knowledge. Uh, but I don't know, everybody's different when it coming to take exam. But I don't suffer of anxiety. I mean, as I said, unless if I haven't studied and I don't know my content, well, definitely I will feel like insecure. But apart from that, that day I felt good.
Yes.
I didn't, yeah, that day I felt good, and it just went as planned. Mhm.
Yes, and I think that's a great point, Professor Webster, and that's the reason why I asked you that question. Because when you go into the exam, having the high level of confidence that Professor Webster talks about, it does influence even how you read questions. Because we know 150 questions, that's in 3 hours, that is quite a bit of time. So we
Mhm.
want you to decrease your exam fatigue by going in with that positive mindset. And for some colleagues that do have test anxiety, it's figuring out what is going to help me decrease my test anxiety.
Mhm.
Professor Webster and I did have a conversation before she went to take the exam, and that was one of the strategies that she already articulated. She really didn't, all she needed me to do is really just validate all of the things that she's already said today. There was really nothing additional that I shared with her other than having a vision, writing down her name with CNE behind it, because I wanted her to ferment that in her mind, because I knew she was ready. It's just that next, I think, step of validation and confirmation that helps us as colleagues know that we can do it when we've put in the work. All right, so thank you so much, Professor Webster. I'm going to open it up now. I could talk to you all day because I
I
think
know.
your journey is so powerful, and really appreciate your transparency and your willingness to share it with colleagues.
Absolutely.
I want to see if
Anytime.
others have questions.
Yes.
Any questions from colleagues on the call?
I don't have a question. I just have a commendation to her because just like you said, everybody's journey is different. And the first part of why I want to commend her is because so many people, they do it. And like I said before, as nurses and we want perfection, we say, oh, okay, well, that's it. We failed it. That's it. We're not going to do that anymore. And so I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. I think it's part of who I am. So you see, English is not my first language. So everything since I've been studying in English, all my degrees, everything is a lot harder for me. But that's who I am. I know it's not going to be easy, but you know, I take it personal. So the fact that I failed, that means, okay, we are going here again. I don't get discouraged easily. And I wish you guys do that too. Don't get discouraged, because it doesn't mean, like, when I didn't pass, it didn't mean that I'm not able to do it. It's actually, I have to do other things. I have to, use other resources that I wasn't utilizing at the time.
Mhm.
So, but this is totally doable. It is totally doable, but you have to study intentionally. And you really, really want to pay attention and, you know, study and make it the biggest priority right now. Because that's another thing. At the time when I did it in December, I had so many competing priorities and I couldn't focus so much like I did now during the summer. And I said to myself, this is the time. I cannot, I don't think if I fail again, I don't think I would be able to do it probably in the next 4 years because I just started. I mean, yesterday was my first day in my EDD. And I didn't want to carry that bag, you know, into this. I wanted to have it done before any other priorities were coming. So that's why if you're serious about it, just go for it. And it's totally doable. It is.
It is. And it was such a delight to meet you in person for our first interaction at the GAIN conference in Georgia, where we could have a very candid conversation without judgment, because that's what we believe. We believe primarily in two things here at Dr. Sellars Educate. Number one is no judgment. So whether it takes you 6 months to complete your journey, no judgment. And the second part is that we support you until you are successful, no matter how long that takes. If you're committed to achieving success, we're going to be right beside you every step of the way to give you guidance that's going to help you reach your goal. All right. Well, no other questions. We appreciate you, Professor Webster, for joining us. And we hope that everybody has a great rest of their evening.
All right. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.